I actually don't think you're cooked. I think you can get what you want in dating. I really do. I don't think you have a super combative personality. Um, I think you argue too much, but I don't think you're completely cooked. You seem a little bit introspective. But this weight thing, you got to stop arguing about what men want and just become it. You know, then you're going to apply to law school and they're like, oh, you did go to law school. You know, you did. You seem very qualified for this job.
One thing that I'd like to like talk about,
Yeah, go ahead.
and this isn't all men, but like I've heard this before, and I do somewhat agree with it, is that men will always put themselves first, and women are usually the beneficiaries of that. Like they'll, work out, like the good ones, right? They'll work out, they'll take care of themselves, they'll have a really good job, and they'll choose. You're right. They'll choose the ones that they I think are attractive, right? But men always they always put themselves first, always,
That is
and
just not true.
that's my experience.
That is just not true at all.
When it comes to a relationship.
If men wanted to in society, they could have us all in cages and be sex slaves because they have the monopoly on force. They don't do that. They give us all these rights. They said, "Fine, ladies, you want to be men? Go be men. Go make money."
I think women
You
did
can,
that.
you can walk in. Oh yeah, how would women enforce that?
I just don't think it would have happened unless we fought for ourselves. Like there was two parts, right? Like maybe men
All right.
allowed it, but we also fought for ourselves, and it never would have happened. They would have never graciously given it to us. We had to fight for it.
Oh
And
no,
like,
okay. If you're gonna have a political change, you need enforcement, right?
sure,
Who has a monopoly on force, men or women?
men.
Okay. So women can't do anything without men enforcing it.
There are two parts to that story, though.
Not really. It's
And
pretty simple.
so you think that men would have just come around and given us rights when it came time? That would have never happened.
Well, one, the history is a little bit misguided. Women never didn't have rights, if we're going to be honest about history, but women like to be victims. They always want to see themselves as, um, being taken advantage of or blah, blah, blah. I would say that women actually, um, have more rights than men now. Yeah, I would say women we really live in a matriarchy, not a patriarchy.
Can you can you defend that? Like, I'd like to hear. I would just
Okay.
like to hear.
Okay. So men run the entire infrastructure of society.
Sure.
Okay. So they do the plumbing, all of the blue collar job, all the hard jobs in society, the phone lines, they're like 90+% of inventions. Everything hard that is done in society. Women have the easier jobs. You're a teacher. Nothing against teachers. But you just can't convince me that watching kids from 8 to 3 is more difficult than chopping wood. You just are not going to convince me of this.
I'm not
Women,
gonna try.
yeah, yeah, women are a majority of human resources. Women, I mean, even me as a podcaster, if all podcasters disappeared tomorrow, society would be fine and running. Yet we are still paid the same, close to it, anyways. I think that's unfair. I think men are underpaid and women are overpaid. But women are just the CEOs of complaining. I'm from Chicago, right? In Chicago, the teachers shut down all the schools for like 2 weeks, whining and crying about how they weren't paid enough. Yet there's men in Alaska on fishing boats where one person dies a week and they don't complain. They don't say they're oppressed when men are literally dying to give us crap. Where women get these cushy jobs where they're in air conditioned places, they're in offices, and I think they're overpaid for it. And then they still call themselves victims or oppressed. And even historically, it wasn't really what they say on TV and stuff that women had to fight for rights. Like, for example, they say women didn't have bank accounts, but most men didn't have bank accounts either. The society was mostly cash. So things didn't really run on like, or sorry, credit cards. Things didn't run on credit cards. And people just got married young, and men made most of the money. They were responsible for the debt. So that was why like they didn't have it, because women didn't have the responsibility that came with it. Another example is voting. They say women were so oppressed because they didn't have the right to vote. Well, the reason they didn't have the right to vote was because it came with being drafted in the war. But women always say, "Oh, I want the good thing. I want to vote, but I don't want to have to go to war." And that's what we have today, where the men get the vote, but they also have to do the hard things, where women get all the fun and the good things, but they don't have to do the hard things. So, um, yeah, like we're kind of brats, actually. Like, especially teachers, no offense to you, but you guys complain way too much. You get 3 months off of the year, and
I
they're
think that's
striking.
great. I mean,
You
I
guys are
feel
striking they're striking in Chicago and not teaching the kids while men are dying. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes, it's like, um the men are literally dying to give us crab, and women will say, whatever. But I have to watch kids. It's like, fuck you. Like, come on. But
I wouldn't say that teaching's an easy job.
oh yes,
But
it
I
is.
will say this.
Comparatively.
Uh,
Comparative, like, and I could show you, because there's women that post their day in the lives as teachers. Like, come on, or you know what? Here, I'm gonna show you something, and you can be honest with me. Really, you think that your job is as